Hi there, this is David and welcome to the top 10 games that I just do not agree with the reviewers on. Far be it from me to cause drama on here, yeah right, but you guys have seen my lists and my opinions by now. I mean, I'm not really shy with them. I guess the reason for this is because I don't jump on any hater bandwagons, I actually play the games that I review. So there's always a reason for my love or hate. So today I want to look at 5 games that everybody else seems to love, but I can't stand. And then 5 games that everybody else seems to hate, but I love. So let's get started on what's sure to be a controversial list. First up, the games that I hate. Number 5, Valkyrie Profile. Here's the deal. Unlike the other games on this side of the list, I don't absolutely hate the game. It just kind of feels like it's a chore to play. Remember how in Final Fantasy X-2 you had to be glued to a guide in order to get the best ending? Well, it's the same thing here. Only if you miss a beat, you're not just going to get screwed out of the ending that you want, but you're not going to have the characters that you need either. It's just so easy to screw yourself over here because at the end of each chapter, you have to select who you want to send up to Valhalla. Select the wrong ones at the wrong time, and say goodbye to certain story segments, special skills, and more. The worst thing is that the game gives no indication of this either. So while I do love the side-scrolling unique nature of the game, it just can be a royal pain in the ass too. Number 4, Rogue Galaxy. This game, like all games from Level 5, is absolutely gorgeous, and when I first fired it up, I was expecting some sort of cross between Dark Cloud 2 and Star Ocean. But instead, what I got was a whole mess of balance issues coupled with annoying characters, extremely long, unavoidable random battles, and huge labyrinthine dungeons. Sometimes even traversing the planet itself felt like a dungeon too because of all the interconnected zones that they utilized. And the battles, I swear, I mean, it's nice to have a challenge, but it's not nice to lose 50% of your HP with every single hit some random mob does to you. I'm for real. When I say that you die in 3 hits, it's true. It's crazy. Also, the crafting system seemed too convoluted for its own sake, and I found myself bogged down in menus trying to learn skills far too often. I guess I just kinda wish that it used on-screen battles like Secret of Mana or something like that. Number 3, The Legend of Dragoon. This has got to be the one game that most people ask about. I have a never-ending barrage of comments daily, saying that I have shitty taste because I left their precious JRPG off some top 10 list. Well, I hate to break your nostalgic bubble, but this game isn't all that hot. So take off your rose-colored glasses, quit your bitching, and just accept it. Back when it first came out, I could not wait to start this puppy up, expecting another Final Fantasy VII on my hands. But unfortunately, it was nothing of the sort. So much for being a supposed Final Fantasy killer. The 32 item limit is stupid, the dragon transformations are next to useless, and even random trash mobs take forever because of the addition system. Add to the fact that you're constantly defending to restore HP, and the whole thing just drags. Even back in high school, I thought that this game had issues, but I think that it would just be insufferable to play nowadays. Number 2, Chrono Cross. I'm sorry, but how do you go from one of the best games ever made to one of the worst? It's like they took everything that made Chrono Trigger wonderful and decided to do the exact opposite with the sequel. It almost plays as if it wasn't actually supposed to be a sequel, but then some marketing team decided at the 11th hour that it would sell better if it had the Chrono name slapped across it. The first game told a tight story throughout with time travel, endearing characters, and a great battle system across varied locations. This sequel has some of the most annoying characters that I've ever seen in an RPG, a battle system that takes forever if you want to take advantage of the elemental field system, and it feels like all you're doing is backtracking all the time because the locations in the 2 dimensions are virtually identical. I just don't understand where this fanbase comes from. And number 1, Final Fantasy VIII. As a kid, it seemed that each installment of Final Fantasy was better than the last, so when 8 was announced, I was excited. But that turned to apprehension when I saw the images in the PlayStation magazine, because it didn't involve sword and sorcery. It was focused around summons, and it starred a bunch of school kids. But I still held out hope, and I bought it upon release. However, within the first hour of play, all my hope was dashed. The game fully embraced a futuristic setting, and in doing so, left what made the series great in the dust. Customization boils down to endlessly drawing magic, equipping summons, and junctioning magic to stats. The whole everyone can do everything trend that started in Final Fantasy V is really cemented here, as your party members have nothing to differentiate themselves other than their stupid limit breaks, and graphically, it's futuristic, ugly, and boring. Thank God the crystals came back in 9. Well, now that we've seen the 5 games that I hate but everybody else seems to like, let's flip the script and look at 5 games that I like but everybody else seems to hate. Number 5, Popeyes Adventure. I don't know about y'all, but I'm personally sick to death of people looking at a screenshot, then immediately dismissing a game as kiddie, without even giving it a shot. I remember this happening with Guardians Crusade, Dragon Quest VIII, and then again with Popeyes Adventure. Personally, I find games like this to have like the pinnacle of graphics, because they never age, unlike the photorealistic garbage that's in vogue now. If people could just look past the cartooniness of it all, they would find a classic on par with Lunar and Earthbound. It's really that good. Each character is masterfully written and funny, the world map is interconnected and naturally flows, and there's secrets and treasures around every corner. Pietro's adventure is just timeless. Number 4, Beyond the Beyond. I really feel like this is like a bandwagon game, where a small vocal group played it, decided that it sucked, and then everybody else, without ever having touched it, just went along and said that it's the worst RPG on the PlayStation. Well, I am here to defend it, because let me tell you, if this was just released a few years earlier on the SNES, it would be a classic. The difficulty is up there, and yeah, some of the dungeons are unfair, but it has heart, soul, and charm. There's just something about older JRPGs where you feel like you're really a part of the world that they created. You're not just playing some formulaic, by-the-book hallway simulator like today. Fans of Shining Force or Golden Sun would do well to look into this bridge of a game between the two classic franchises. Number 3, Breath of Fire, Dragon Quarter. I know, this isn't a real Breath of Fire game, I completely get it, so haters back off. That being said though, if you play the game for what it is, I do think that you will have fun with it. And this is coming from me, the guy who hates ugly games, endless dungeon crawling, and roguelikes. And even though this game has all that, I still found it to be pretty damn good. The battles are strategic, with Lyn pushing and pulling mobs all around the screen, and Nina setting traps for them to fall into. It's a whole lot of fun. And if you find yourself getting really screwed, just steamroll everybody in dragon form and start over powered up. You can complete Ryu's journey pretty quickly too if you really go at it, so it's nice that this has a New Game Plus feature which unlocks more areas to explore as well as more storyline sequences to see. Number 2, Arcrise Fantasia. Much like Popeyes Adventure, this is an underrated gem, and I will never stop giving it the attention that it deserves. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and one of the most challenging too. But much like Beyond the Beyond, I feel like all the naysayers never really gave it a chance. They probably just watched a video, heard the voice acting, and then wrote it off wholesale. But if they really gave it a shot, they would find an amalgamation of many classic series. Arcrise Fantasia takes the turn-based battles of Dragon Quest with tactical combat of Lunar and the costumes and skits of Tales, as well as the customization of Final Fantasy. The game is literally the best of everything. The world map is gorgeous, filled with treasures and secrets, and there's even a long epilogue mode. I could sing the praises of this game all day. Number 1, the Seven Saga. Most everybody has probably heard of this game simply because of its infamous difficulty, but here's the deal. If a JRPG is too hard, it gets universally panned. If it's too easy, everybody just complains too. It's hard to find that happy medium. And also, just FYI, it's not the hardest JRPG that I've ever played because that honor goes straight to Arcrise Fantasia. Something that I think more games should do nowadays is have different heroes, because here, each playthrough will be different depending on which one you choose. I remember going through this game with all the main characters as a kid, and while some are definitely better than others, the game is doable with them all. However, it can be hard, so if you do want to play the game as it was intended, just head on over to romhacking.net and download the Elnard patch, because who are we kidding? This is an SNES game and 99% of us are emulating anyway. Well, that's it for the top 10 games that I just do not agree with the reviewers on. What games do you feel this way about and why? And if you like this video and what I do here on the channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon. The link to it can be found in the video description. This has been David. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.